The Pentagon has a little secret, a strategy that is low in cost but high in threat. It's called missile defense. Missile defense spending is less than 2% of the military budget, but it establishes a high-level threat to so-called enemy nations like China, Russia, and others. What is missile defense? The Missile Defense Agency, or MDA, provides the following definition. It's basically shooting a piece of metal at an incoming warhead. Many have described it as shooting a bullet with another bullet. Let's dissect how missile defense is provocative, dangerous, and ultimately a strategy of failure. First, we know the US is currently bombing 7 nations: Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Pakistan, Somalia, Libya, and Yemen. They are poorer nations associated with what is called the Global South, sometimes called the Third World. These are nations with smaller and weaker militaries, smaller economies, and less political power on the world stage. These aspects make it easier for a powerful nation, like the United States, to invade, bomb, and conduct regime change policies. But what about a powerful nation with nuclear weapons? Well, the US has never bombed or invaded a nuclear-powered nation. So, the strategy here changes. A common tactic is to disrupt the border nations near the target nation. This involves a variety of tactics like funding and supporting groups who oppose the target nation. In most cases, these groups are right-wing fundamentalists ranging from fascists to terrorists. There is a historical track record of the US using this strategy of color revolutions to weaken and disrupt the target nation. Let's use Russia for example. Russia has the largest arsenal of nuclear warheads in the world, with the US in second with just a few hundred warheads less than Russia. So the US cannot invade or bomb Russia without a significant amount of risk, either waging an unsuccessful war or losing a massive amount of lives and resources. So, the next logical strategy is to disrupt Russia as much as possible by other means, like encircling them with military bases, weapons, troops, pulling border nations into the US sphere of influence, supporting anti-Russia organizations, and the missile defense strategy to encompass Russia. The missile defense strategy works as a shield after a US first strike attack. In the 20th century, military strategists developed MAD, Mutually Assured Destruction. This is a doctrine of military strategy in which a full-scale use of nuclear weapons by 2 or more opposing sides could cause complete annihilation of both the attacker and the defender. Military experts argued prophetically that MAD prevents a nuclear war. So the Pentagon wants to develop a missile defense shield so they can conduct a first strike attack without any retaliatory strike. Clearly, this is dangerous and provocative. Missile defense systems are deployed around the world, mainly encircling Russia and China. These systems are manufactured, deployed, and used with a low-cost output while having a high-threat input. If you do not believe this is a high-level threat to Russia, just imagine if Russia deployed one missile defense system in Mexico near the US border. How would the Pentagon react? You get my point. Russia and China, among other nations, have continuously stated that they cannot afford to denuclearize because the US refuses to renounce their first strike capability, and the US keeps adding more missile defense systems on their borders, thus adding to the 21st century nuclear arms race, which is now heading towards outer space. The Missile Defense Agency budget is only about $10 billion per year, which again is less than 2% of the overall military budget. In addition, the term missile defense really makes it look like these systems are only defensive in nature. But like I said, if Russia deployed a system like that in Mexico, would it then become offensive? These missile defense systems are also ignored by the US peace movement. It's difficult to argue against a system that doesn't carry a nuclear warhead. it doesn't kill anybody, and it doesn't cost that much. Especially in a period where the US is actually killing people in several nations around the world and updating its nuclear weapons program with more funding, and disputes with other nuclear powers are increasing, missile defense often gets ignored. The missile defense approach is ultimately a strategic failure because it advances the nuclear arms race and prevents reduction. It provides no possible paths for other nuclear-powered nations to reduce their nuclear capabilities. The US peace movement ignores the issue, and it threatens all life on Earth. Fighting against the US military-industrial complex ultimately and absolutely must include a fight against the missile defense industry.